Well, tell them the story of the Japanese investment. That should be told again. That's a nice story.
Well, the Japanese thing was simple. I mean, I like looking at companies. I like looking at figures about companies, and here were five very, very substantial companies, understandable companies. Most of them, maybe all of them, we'd done business with in a dozen different ways. If you go a couple miles from where this place is, our last coal generating plant was built by one of the companies. So here they were sitting as a group where they were earning, we'll say 14% on what we were going to pay to buy them. They were paying decent dividends. They were going to repurchase shares in some cases. They owned a whole bunch of businesses that we could understand as a group, although we didn't mean we had deep understanding on any, but we seen them operate and everything. There wasn't anything to it. And at the same time, we could take out the currency risk by financing in yen, and that was going to cost us a half of 1%. Well, if you get 14% on one side, a half a percent on the other side, and you've got money that, forever, and they're doing intelligent things, and they're sizable. So we just started buying them. I didn't even probably tell Greg until maybe 6 months after we'd gotten going. And then when we hit 5% in all of them, we announced on my birthday and at 90th that we owned over 5%, and recently went over for the first time to visit with them, and we were more than pleasantly surprised, delighted with what we find there. And now we own 7.4% of it. We won't go over 9.9 without their agreeing, and we sold another 164, whatever it is, billion of yen.
Would have done for us if we only had $5 billion or something, and it made $10 billion simply in that way.
Yeah,
we would look like heroes. Now 10 billion just sort of disappears as a little dot in Berkshire's reports.
But it's fun,
and it is fun, and it is $10 billion.
And Charlie says it keeps. And Charlie says it keeps me out of bars whenever I talk to him about it. And I probably talked to Charlie about this the year after I started. But who knows? I mean, but I knew he'd like it. I mean, obviously, we
tried to do every dollar we would do. We could only do about 10 billion.
Yeah. Well, not even quite that much.
Yeah.
But we are 4 or 5 billion ahead plus dividends, and we got a carry that's terrific, and they welcome us, and they should welcome us, but we love it the way they're operating. We're not there to tell them what to do in the least, but we did say we never go over 9.9, and we mean it, and they know that we'll be true to our word. And I went over there partly to introduce Greg to those people, because we're going to be with them 10, 20, 30, 40 years from now, and they may occasionally find something that we can do jointly, and they look forward to doing that, and we look forward to it. And in addition, we have some other operating businesses in Japan. So.
Why did this trip happen, and why did those investments happen to begin with?
Well, the investments began maybe close to 4 years ago, and I was looking at company after company, as I'll do every day, and I just thought these were big companies. They were companies that I generally understood what they did, somewhat similar to Berkshire, in that they owned lots of different interests, and they were selling at what I thought was a ridiculous price, particularly the price compared to the interest rates prevailing at that time. And so I started buying all five of the 5 largest trading companies, and by my 90th birthday, August 30th of 2000, whatever it was.
2020.
And we had bought just somewhat over 5% of each company, and we were buying identical amounts. So we announced at that time that we bought this 5% interest in each of the 5. I wrote a letter to the CEOs of each of the companies saying the same thing, that we would never buy, Berkshire would never buy more than 9.9% without their consent. And that was my word. It was Berkshire Hathaway's word, and they all welcomed us in, and their results have exceeded our expectations since we purchased the group. I think their dividends on average have gone up 70% or something like that, and we now own 7.4% of each of the companies, and Greg and I together, we wanted to come over and talk to them, and so we got on a NetJets plane and plug and flew over, and we have had a terrific time meeting each of the five sequentially over the last 2 days, and it's been fascinating. And we feel even better about what we couldn't feel better about the investment. And over that time, we've sold periodically yen-denominated bonds. So more or less, we don't do it precisely, but we've insulated ourselves from exchange rate changes. So it's worked out very well so far. But we'll be in these stocks 10, 20 years. I mean, we weren't buying with the idea they go next week, next month, next year. But we have had revelations about each of the companies that, Greg and I are just fascinated by it. Right?
Was it worth the trip?
Oh,
absolutely. It's been a great trip. I mean, they've been exceptional in how they've communicated, both with their performance, but just their approach to business.
What did you learn since you've been here?
I think the thing that stands out very quickly to us is they came to the meetings wanting to build a relationship and strengthen it. So they understand we've invested in their companies, but from the very get-go, when we start the conversations with them, they come each with their own story, and it's around building trust in that relationship with them.
Meaning what? That there are other potential deals that you all could do together?
We've clearly made it, each time we've met with them, we said we very much like the core investment, but to the extent they can identify an incremental opportunity that we could do with any of the five companies, we would very much evaluate it quickly. And Warren highlighted the bigger the better, and that he'll answer the phone on the first ring.
And we'll never run out of money. I mean, they can call us anytime, and it may be that what they have interests us, it may not, but they'll have an answer, bingo. And if we make a deal, the money will be on the way, and we look forward to it. And I'm just astounded at how they're all different and they're all the same at the same time. I mean, we learned about 5 different individual companies, but it was not exactly what we expected. It was better than we expected in every respect.
People look at this and say, okay, Warren Buffett is putting his stamp of approval on investing in Japan, basically. Is that an accurate read?
Well, it was an accurate read, but it was an accurate read a couple of years ago, too. I mean, I was confounded by the fact that we could buy into these companies and, in effect, have an earnings yield of maybe 14% or something like that, with dividends that would grow. They actually grew 70% during that time. And the people were investing their money at 1/4% or nothing. And that 1/4%, if they put it out for many years, wasn't going to grow, and the 14% was more likely to grow than not. And if that doesn't look like something sensible to me, that's as easy as it gets. But it's turned out to be better than I thought it would be.